So this is video two of I don't know how many that I'm going to be doing a sort of mini documentary, not documentary, mini director's commentary on some of my favorite projects that I've directed or oversaw various phases of production. So this video is going to be shorter than the last one. I did a video, like a little commentary on the Autoform commercial that I directed and edited earlier this year. And this next piece is actually a campaign I did for Puma uh, with one of the most famous painters in the world, Romero Brito, who's actually I think the number one commercially successful artist like ever. I think that's a thing. Look it up, but you've seen his work everywhere. Disney, the World Cup, literally everywhere. He hasn't not collaborated with almost anybody at this point. So, and you'll see his art all over South Florida as well. So this piece came about really sort of rush. I got hit up by Puma's marketing director at the time um, because I had been doing a lot of videos for Burrito at the time for their brand and whatever they needed really around the studio. And this was their first merchandise, not merchandise, but first like fashion line that they were stepping out into. And Puma was doing a collaboration with them. So I was dealing directly with the Puma team and their marketing director or whatever her role was at the time. But I got hit up with about 2 weeks before the shoot was supposed to happen, or maybe it was a little longer than that, but it was so hectic. I don't remember ever having crammed so many hours of work into a short period of time than this one because of all the moving parts that they wanted. You know, Puma did come to the table with a more defined creative brief, probably because they have a little bit more of an expansive marketing and creative team in house. But nonetheless, they had a lot of wants, and then some of those were more realistic than others with the budget that they had available to them. And one of the more difficult, or one of the more, I guess, trickier moving parts was the location scouting, because we were going to have to film two actors or models outside and about all over Miami. And they wanted to really highlight the vibrant nature of Burrito's art. If you see his art, he calls himself like the founder of the happy art movement. And it's because he likes to put all of that like happy energy out into the world. And that's why all of his art is very colorful. It's very pop art style and like very interesting. Like they really jump out at the eye when you see one of his pieces. But for this, they wanted portions of or parts of Miami that accentuated or highlighted that fact. So we did have to film in a few outdoor locations, and to do that required pulling some permits. So that was the trickiest part. We did end up keeping the first two locations somewhat within the same area, which was a hotel that was very Art Deco style in the North Beach area. And then there's a particular lifeguard hut there that is very colorful, because in Miami, a lot of the lifeguard huts have different themes to them. Like some of them are like Liberty themed, and this one is just very colorful. It's like, pinks and oranges and stuff like that. And I felt like that one was the one for this particular commercial. And we were showcasing two fashion lines here, the men's fashion line and the women's fashion line. He had designed two shoes, I think, if I'm recalling correctly. One was a more sporty sports style sneaker. The other one was more of a dress it up white canvas type sneaker with his art style on it. And yeah, there was several facets to this. One of them was getting the models out and about in South Florida. The second part of it was the artist meeting Burrito. I don't think that made the cut because we were supposed to do like a separate video with him in it, or because this particular project we didn't do post-production on. I don't know if I misspoke earlier, but this was pre-production and production. Puma opted to edit it in-house, so they did diverge from what they had intended to do initially in some aspects, because we did film the models at his studio, which is a massive Willy Wonka type of experience. And he was customizing his own shoe, all of that stuff. So here is the commercial in the background. I'll tell you the do's and don'ts. Ooh, super loud. had a crew of about, I think there was over 10 people on set for this one. I don't recall. We did have a couple of I did have a production manager on this one. I did have a DP. I had a gimbal operator, um, and I had several like PAs and production just pretty much people assisting on the production. I did have a wardrobe lead and a makeup artist as well on set. And believe it or not, this was a much longer day, and we filmed so much. If there was one lesson to take away from this, was that we filmed so much that wasn't used in this, and probably mainly because their team edited it, that it wasn't used. But there was a lot, and we could have really saved ourselves some time, because one of the most time consuming aspects of this shoot was moving from this location right here, from the hotel that is by the beach at the start of this, to this location over here, which is in Midtown. That was a good bit, because we moved at like rush hour time to get over there, simply for this one shot. And this was kind of a nightmare, because they wanted to have one of his pieces in it. And if you can tell, there's 3 installations here. You got the heart, you got the guy on the right, and then you got the butterfly on the left. But these in Midtown were in such poor condition that we had to wipe them down and clean them, to make them look somewhat presentable on camera. And we went no lights here. We just have a huge umbrella overhead here, to contain the shadows, because we were filming pretty much at high noon at this point. And yeah, so that was the majority of the shoot. And then we did go to Burrito Studio, which did not make the cut at all, which was another big move, because we actually had to set up pretty heavy there. And none of that got used. So nonetheless, though, it does get the job done, the actual edit itself. And we can go into some of the logistics here. This was a 2-day shoot, not with the models. I did do a 1-day shoot with them, and then a pickup shoot the next day for some of the product shots that we didn't get enough coverage of. We flew her in from New York, and Darren, the guy on the left there, he was local, so he drove in, I believe. We did hire a nail artist for this. You could see her nails. So she was a trooper. She flew in and went straight to the nail salon that did those nails, and it took hours. In fact, the nail I didn't know it was going to take as long as it did. And thankfully she was cool with it, because the nail artist did her thing. Like, she really snapped on that. You can see the different pieces. Like, you could tell that all the art, like the shots here, are product centric, and I'm very proud of how that turned out in some sense. One thing I would do over, I got a little bit obsessed on this roof, and all of us did. So it wasn't just me, but me and the DP and the gimbal operator. We all got a little obsessed about how cool this rooftop looked. And we were on this rooftop. We were probably on this rooftop like 45 minutes longer than we should have been, just stealing a bunch of shots. And we did pay for that location as well. We paid like a couple $1,000s to be able to use that location and film all over it. And that's the pricey part, is you got to pull those permits. You got to have a cop on site, medic on site, all these different things that you need on set for these particular productions. But I really do wish, part of me wishes that I could have made like a director's cut on this, so that we could have gotten some of the studio footage here. But nonetheless, it does really communicate the whole vibe of Miami and the fashion brand and all that. And it was a fun shoot, although albeit super hectic. I think I had just moved into this place. And while the pre-production was going on, I was babysitting my sister's puppy. It's just a little fun fact. I was babysitting their puppy, and a rock fell through my ceiling, like in the bathroom. And so I had to go back and forth to my family's house to shower every night and use the restroom, because I had no bathroom, because a freaking boulder caved in through my roof, through a botched construction job that took place like years before. So I dealt with that while babysitting the puppy. And yeah, the final result came out really good, and I'm happy with it. And till this day, it's probably one of the more rewarding experiences that I had. Although that day of shooting, I highly recommend that you do not drink too much espresso when on set, because when I finish shooting that, usually when you wrap a production, like you're just decompressing, I hit like 2 shots of espresso, like maybe 30 seconds before. So when I finished wrapping, my heart was like, So I crashed. I was so beat without sleep and a headache. I was wrecked the next day. And that's what happens when you work those, 15-hour days, especially in the Florida heat. So, and that's all I got for this particular commentary. It's a little shorter than the auto form one, and I'm gonna do, I think, two more of these series. I'm gonna do one on the four projects that I headed up for Wilson Tennis. That'll be the next commentary you see. So, peace.